Welcome to The Explainer. We're often told one story about terrorism in Pakistan, but today we're diving into a really provocative analysis that asks a deeper question. What's the real cause? And let me tell you, the answer this source gives, it's probably not what you're expecting.
So, what is the true cause of terrorism in Pakistan? It's a huge question, one that's been hanging over the region for, well, decades. But the source we're digging into today takes a recent specific attack and uses it to build this much, much bigger argument. The claim that the root of the problem isn't just local, it's actually global. All right, so every deep dive needs a starting point, right? And the one we're breaking down for you begins with a specific trigger event. For the analyst behind our source material, this attack wasn't just a tragedy, no. It was a symptom, a sign of a much deeper, more complicated geopolitical disease.
So let's set the scene. The catalyst for this whole analysis was an attack in Islamabad, and not just anywhere in Islamabad. It was near an Imam Barga, that's a Shia congregation hall, right in the middle of the city's high-security red zone. I mean, this is supposed to be one of the safest places in the entire country. The fact that it happened so close to the seat of government, well, that's what made everyone sit up and pay attention.
Okay, so as you'd expect, investigators get to work right away. And the first leads, according to our source, pointed in a pretty familiar direction, across the border into Afghanistan. I mean, that's often the go-to explanation in these kinds of situations, right? The idea of cross-border militants.
But this is where the analysis takes a sharp turn. The source makes this really powerful point. Focusing only on the attackers themselves, that's like just treating the symptom. It's like taking something for a fever but completely ignoring the infection that's causing it. The argument is simple. If you want a cure, you've got to get the diagnosis right first.
And that's where we move beyond the border. Because this diagnosis, wow, it pulls us into this incredibly complex web of international players. The speaker's whole claim is that what looks like a regional problem is actually something else entirely. It's a proxy war being fought on Pakistani soil by a whole bunch of different groups and even countries.
So who are these hidden actors? While the analysis in our source points fingers at a lot of different groups. We're talking about militant organizations like the Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan, the TTP, and separatist groups like the Balochistan Liberation Army, or BLA. But here's the kicker. It also alleges that major global powers are involved. We're talking India, the United States, and even Israel.
Now, to really get what's being argued here, we need to be clear on one key concept, a proxy war. What is it? Well, it's basically when powerful countries use third parties, like local groups, as substitutes to fight their battles for them. It lets them chase their own strategic goals without ever having to face each other directly. And according to this source, that's the exact lens we need to be looking through to understand the violence happening in Pakistan.
Okay, so if we accept the premise that this is a proxy war, the next big question is pretty obvious, right? Why? Why would these incredibly powerful nations allegedly want to destabilize Pakistan? And that's exactly where the analysis goes next, unpacking the motives behind this so-called grand game. According to the source, Pakistan is targeted because of its really unique strategic position. The speaker argues it boils down to three main things. First, it's the world's only Muslim-majority nuclear power. Second, it's got a huge, powerful military. And third, its people have this incredibly deep connection to Islam. You put all that together, and in this analyst's view, that combination makes Pakistan a target. And the source gets even more specific, breaking down the alleged motives for each of these foreign powers. The argument laid out is pretty stark. For Israel, the goal is to weaken the only Muslim nuclear power. For the US, it's all about countering China's growing influence in the region. And for India, it's about destabilizing its primary rival right next door. Now, to back up the claim about Israel, the speaker points to something specific. They cite an Israeli historian who isn't named, who apparently claimed that Israel actually helps anti-Pakistan groups, specifically mentioning the BLA. And when it comes to the U.S. role, the analysis points out this huge gap between what's said publicly and what's allegedly happening behind the scenes. So, on one hand, the U.S. is a public partner in the war on terror. But on the other hand, the speaker alleges that the U.S. is secretly using all those weapons left behind in Afghanistan to arm insurgents. And the goal? To put pressure on Pakistan and, again, to get in the way of China's plans. Okay, so after laying out this whole complicated external mess, the analysis completely shifts gears. It moves from diagnosing the problem to proposing the antidote.
And interestingly, the source doesn't look for a solution from the outside. Instead, it argues for a massive, fundamental change from within Pakistan. At the heart of this proposed solution is a pretty radical idea, a complete rejection of foreign political models. The speaker basically argues that these imported systems, things like Western-style democracy or liberalism, just haven't worked for Pakistan, that they're not a good fit for the country's unique situation, and in the end have failed to create any real stability or security. So what's the alternative? Well, the source lays out a three-step path to stability and peace. Step 1, build a strong political system that's truly native to the country, not just copied from somewhere else. Step 2, ground that system of governance in Islamic principles. And step 3, back it all up with modern technology and really smart, robust diplomacy. And this quote really says it all. The solution is not in Washington or Europe. It is within ourselves, based on our own principles. I mean, that's the absolute core of the proposed solution, right? It's a call for total self-reliance. The argument is that the real answer to Pakistan's problems won't be found abroad. It has to be built at home, with a system that's true to its own culture and values. And what's the end goal of all this? The idea is to move beyond all the divisive internal politics and instead focus on just effective governance and building national strength. The hope is to create a state that's so unified, so strong on the inside, that it just can't be pushed around by outside forces anymore. It's about building up that internal resilience to protect itself on the world stage. Which brings us to our final big question, and it's a really thought-provoking one. This entire analysis suggests that the ultimate defense against all this foreign interference might not be military might or foreign alliances, but something internal. It really makes you wonder, is a country's strongest shield against the games other nations play actually just the strength and integrity of its own political system?